This is another video showcasing how therapy is cancer for men. In this case, it's couples therapy. And couples therapy basically boils down to making the man submit to the woman. You'll realize that they're going to talk to 5 marriage counselors, and you're going to see the man being blamed a lot. Now, Eric Schiedler pointed me to this article, and he put it into a nutshell. The arguments basically are the same every time. They're about money or social dominance, right? Now, for those who can afford the price tag, marriage counseling can bring even the most contentious couples back from the brink. Right. So men are paying heavy duty money to be told to get in line. Right. Now the first one says you can feel when there's just nothing. I never tell couples they're not going to make it. Well, that's not very honest, is it? Now, I never say that, but when do I think that? So if you think they're not going to make it, wouldn't it be obvious answer to tell them so? Otherwise, they're paying you good money just for you to string them along. Now listen to this. When one person doesn't want to be there, when there's an active affair going on, or if there's no love or attraction, you can feel when there's just nothing. This is a woman talking by Irina. So Irina, women select men for their status, not for love. So there's nothing there for men anyway. Okay, I'm seeing a new couple. They could still make it, but things don't look good. They're both successful and have been together for 20 years and have 2 young kids, their oldest 2. So these 2 have been around for 20 years and are just now having children. So we know what's going on. The children made the difference. But listen, kids often present major stress to relationships, but I've never seen it to this extent before. The woman feels erased. I'm going to translate what that means. This woman was the center of this man's life. As soon as you had children, the children took center stage. And she doesn't like that. She wants to be center stage still. That's what's going on. This is jealousy of her own children. Her husband doesn't seem to see what she does for the family and argues about it. Really? Is she a stay-at-home mom? If so, then she probably doesn't do anything. She's probably leeching off them. Notice in all these cases, they give you no details to work from. So you can't make a judgment for yourself. Now look at this. She's going to blame the man. The other day, I told him he was invalidating her. He said, I'm not. This is just the way it is. He could be absolutely right about this. What is it that he's talking about? We don't know. These therapists don't want for us to be able to judge because the man might be in the right. She's blaming the man. She jumped up and walked out. For couples that are sort of workable, if I made an intervention, like you just did that right now, what's she talking about? I just saw it. One of them would kind of stop dead in their tracks and say, oh, okay, I didn't realize it. But the man in this couple doesn't accept what's going on. Okay, see, they're blaming the man, aren't they? And the man might be absolutely right. Maybe her arguments aren't valid. Did any of you ever consider that? I assume that her arguments may not be valid. I mean, she admitted that she feels erased because guess what? The children came along. So the children take center stage. That's what this woman's problem is. Right. So I don't trust this Irina Fierstein, this couples therapist. That's the first one. Now, well, that's the next one. What is she? Claudia Diaz, another woman. Not that the men are really any better, but here we go. Oh, sorry, I jumped ahead. It's Kelly Scott. Here we go. As a therapist, There's moments of real clarity when you realize a couple doesn't have the conditions for a safe and healthy relationship, and that at that point, it's your ethical obligation to ensure you're not colluding with unhealthy or keeping them in sessions. I saw a passive-aggressive married couple who would get into each other's faces. Right, they're both fighting. We worked together for a while, and finally I said, guys, there's a problem with your aggression in the relationship. Do you want to do something about it? One partner hemmed and hawed. I said, no, the way I fight isn't the problem here. I said, you guys, this doesn't work. It was a hard conversation. Right. Okay, so they're both equally fighting. Okay, I want you to think about that. Now, this one, I believe the man will be blamed. This one is from Claudia Diaz. You know, things aren't working when there's intense contempt or a couple reproduces the home environment in the office with their fighting. Well, genius, the issues they have at home aren't going to change when they come to the office. I mean, that's the point. Some therapists think allowing couples to fight is part of couples therapy, but you're becoming a participant in the dynamic. Well, lady, these people have a disagreement. They're going to be fighting. If they could just agree on something, they would need to come to you. And one of the most unpleasant cases I've seen, there were instances, this is important, of mutual physical abuse. So they're both to blame. Guess who's going to get blamed? The man couldn't stop raising his voice. So when they're both physical, then there's no issue. But the man was the one raising his voice. See, it's about controlling the man. It's about abusing the man. When they get into therapy, most likely the woman was being unreasonable and getting him angry again, and he's raising his voice. I had to remind him of the ground rules to keep your voices down. Even my colleagues could hear. But he wouldn't stop, so I asked him to leave. Well, that's genius. I continued the session with his partner, really. So how could you continue a session, a reconciliation between two people when one of them isn't there? You guys do realize what I'm talking about now. This isn't about reconciliation, is it? It's about getting the woman what she wants. How much was she willing to take? What if he didn't change? You see that? What if he didn't change? So even though they were both in a physical abuse, even though it was mutual, he's the one who has to change. So my guess is she was getting physical with him, and he was getting physical in return. And this therapist just wants to shut him down and say, look, if she wants to pound you in the face, you have to take it. This is my guess. Remember, these people never want to give you details so you can judge whether they're full of shit or not. You might have the best intentions for a vulnerable partner, but a couple's attachment can be stronger than a good advisor can provide. Right. Why is this woman attached? One thing, she probably likes the fighting and she likes the physicality of it. But two, she's probably doesn't want her provider to go away. Maybe she's having another provider waiting, right? Maybe this guy's broken in. Notice these therapists don't know anything about human psychology. I never say a couple is doomed even when they filed for divorce. Well, that's genius. That's what I want to know from an educated person. There's really only one reason people are unhappy in their relationships. They don't feel loved. You're full of shit, buddy. You're full of shit because women marry men for their money. So they are the ones who probably don't care if they are loved. They want to be center of the relationship, but that doesn't mean they necessarily want to be loved. They just want to have their way and being paid attention to. And some women, like I say, don't just want the money. A lot of women don't want intimacy with the man. Hey, there are so many, what do they call it, like wives to footballers, right? the sportsmen who are gone for months. That's what they want. They want to stay at home and live off their husbands, and the husbands are gone. They're out on season playing their baseball or the football or the soccer or whatever. And they don't have to deal with them, right? Every call I get is about communication problems. Yeah, know what the communication problem is? The woman wants her way and the man's not giving it to her. That's what it is. That's the euphemism of communication problem. And you know things aren't improving when both parties are sincere and playing well with each other, really. Then why would they come to you if they were doing that in the first place? When things aren't working, the assumption is always that it's the couple's fault. Oh, this is a guy, by the way, Saul J. Stern, and look how different he puts things. Right? The truth is, it could be the therapist's fault. And in most cases, I think it is. But they won't tell you that because we're trained that if the couples don't follow what you're saying, they're being resistant. Wow. Notice the one male, or this particular male therapist, was actually taking the blame himself. He actually was neutral, right? Okay. But being male doesn't mean they're going to be all neutral. Gary Katz. Okay, this is Guy. I don't know if a couple's going to make it or not, but I know if I want to be in that relationship or not. Again, thanks for admitting that your field of study is a pseudoscience. Because you should be able to guess. You should be able to know whether they're going to make it or not. I'm a complete novice, and I can tell when couples are falling apart. I've sat with couples where I can see their pain. I don't know any differently. That's what love felt like growing up. So they might stay in relationships when I might think they shouldn't or wouldn't. Okay. I told two couples to break up. One was a couple who came to me wanting therapy, but I realized they were both married to other people and were having an affair. They wanted the couples therapy for their affair. This is very funny, but it's still going to prove what I'm saying, though. They worked together. They wanted help because of the relationship was coming into the workplace. He was jealous of other men, and she wanted him to either leave his wife or stop the affair. There you go, right there. The woman usually wants the man to leave the wife, not him to leave the husband. She wants him as a servant. If she wanted him, she wouldn't care. She'd just be with him. The affair would continue. Why is she jealous of other men? Because since she's not going to be her little servant, she's probably flirting with other guys in the office to piss him off and make him jealous. Right? That's what's going on there. So again, this woman isn't in love with this guy. She likes him, and she'd like him as a servant. And she doesn't care about this other woman, does she? Now, if he leaves her, think about it. She has no respect for the marriage contract, or at least for other women, right? So he's going to leave his wife to be with someone who doesn't care for that. Now, this guy talks about trust. I was like, you're both lying to other people. We can't build trust here. And the trust is the foundation of a relationship. So I don't think we can do anything. Well, dude, I got news for you, you genius. What's your name? Gary Katz. Men have no rights in their marriage. If women could be trusted, things wouldn't be that way. Women have worked to strip men of the rights in the marriage contract. So no woman could be trusted in the first place. So when they talk about trust, these therapists, these couples therapists, what they're really saying is the man should submit to the woman. He's the one who trusts her. She doesn't have to trust him, right? Now listen to this. The other couple, the man was convinced everything was his wife's fault. Well, maybe it was her fault. Maybe you should give some details so we can make up our own minds. I kept trying to check in with him about the role he was played in things. Yeah, well, what role did he play? He could only say it was her fault. Well, he could be right again. I finally told him, if that's what you really believe, you should leave her. That's the only good thing this guy has actually said. He was just pointing the finger and not willing to look at himself. Right. Right. So again, that's the third strike. There's 3 cases out of the 5 where they were blaming the man. And the other 2 cases, they weren't blaming the woman. They were neutral, right? So this is a great demonstration of what couples therapy is actually about. It's making the man submit to the woman. And these people say break up, by the way. These guys are, or I should say, the men are paying a huge price tag for these guys to say submit to this woman. And when he stands up for himself and refuses, he's then paying a price tag by, in one case, paying child support because they couldn't agree on who was going to get custody of the kids. Well, I'm telling you right now, the courts will say the woman's getting it and you're paying child support. So at this point in the game, like I said, I can't really feel any sympathy for married men. You get what you deserve. You have to be completely lacking self-regard to get married now. And couples therapy is just another attack on you. It's only going to make you mentally worse. Therapy is only for women, not men.